Okay. I had to get my sweatshirt for the first time in a long time because it was actually kind of cold out. Oh, I'm just going to leave that hood up for right now. That's okay. So, Jesus is in jail. Jesus is at the Praetorium, and he is at the hand of Pontius Pilatus. Pontius Pilatus. Man, I could talk all about Pontius Pilate. I don't know if I want to bore you guys with all those history facts, but Pontius Pilate was from an equestrian family, horse riders. He had friends in low places. He was actually raised up with a guy who was good friends with Caesar, and so that kind of gave him a spot in a high up place. He was raised up, and when this guy kind of tried to overthrow the throne, that guy was executed. And the problem was that guy was kind of Pontius Pilate's in with Caesar, which is how he was given the Judean region under his control. And so that is why Pontius Pilate was taken and then exiled. In fact, Pontius Pilate was actually sent back to Nero to be executed because of the uprisings in Judea. But what ended up happening was Nero committed suicide while Pontius Pilate was en route. And so he eventually was just exiled. He ended up not being executed. So yay for Pilate. Anyway, lots of interesting stuff we could talk about Pontius Pilate. I guess one more interesting fact that many of you will learn or have learned, if you didn't already know, when you go to Israel. I see Lisa's with us, and she's been there with me before. When you go to Caesarea Maritime, so there's Caesarea by the sea, and that is on the coast, and it's a little ways north of Tel Aviv, or modern Tel Aviv, ancient Joppa. And this is where Paul was held prisoner, and this is where Cornelius, the centurion of the Italian regiment, was living when Peter went and shared the gospel with him. But there's another Caesarea Philippi, and that's like way up north of the Galilee region. And that was held by Herod Philip. So a different Caesarea. But this one was made by Herod the Great, and it was a great coastal city. But all that leading up to is up until the 50s, mid 50s, I want to say 56. I don't know. Up until modern day, there was no real ancient record of Pontius Pilate. And one of the things that people would scoff at the Bible was, again, this Judean leader. There's no name, no mention of him. If this guy really was in charge of Judea, why is there no archaeology to back that up? Well, tying in what I was just telling you with this is that in the 50s, they finally found a stone, the Pilate stone. And so it's a stone that talks about Pontius Pilate. And it was found there in Caesarea. You can see a couple of models there at Caesarea, or you can see the original stone at the Jerusalem Museum, right there next to Shrine of the Book. Cool place, lots of cool stuff. But later on, there was mention made or found where essentially, because of his failure to keep down the revolts and the riots in Jerusalem with the Jews, basically the punishment was not only to be his execution, but that his name would be wiped away. And so much of the stuff, they found another stone later on where it was like, it would have been like they tried to erase it. As in, there was a monument to him, and it's like they try and scrape off his name because it was part of the punishment for failing to do his job. Lots of interesting stories with this guy because the Jews were interesting people. There was, when he first got there, he set up Roman banners inside of the temple area. And this made the Jews so angry that 2,000 Jewish men marched out to Caesarea, where that's where his headquarters normally would be. And but he's down at the Praetorium right now during Passover, so he's in the city during the feast. But they marched out there, and he basically had his soldiers come out and say, hey, if you guys don't go home, we're going to have you guys executed. And this, as the story goes, these 2,000 Jewish men fall to their knees, pull back their clothes and just say, "Have our heads." And they pause. And when he realized the kind of people he was dealing with, and he realized that Rome wouldn't be happy to find out that he just mass murdered 2,000 people on their knees, he realized what he was dealing with. There was multiple times that there had been uprisings up into this. Why all this backstory? Well, it's going to help us understand the choices and decisions that Pontius Pilate is now faced with this whole Jesus thing. There's a man whom the religious leaders hate, but the people love. What do you do? If I side one way, the religious leaders are going to be furious with me. And I've made them mad before, and it didn't turn out very well. But if I side with the leaders, I might have a riot on my hands because of the people. So Pilate was stuck between a rock and a hard place now. And so they bring Jesus, and you'll notice right off the bat what we said yesterday, just in the context now, is, well, he says, well, you guys have your own laws. Why do you need me? And they say, well, because we can't put someone to death. And then he realizes, oh, like they're real serious about what they want to see done to this prophet of theirs. And so in verse 33, then Pilate entered the praetorium again, called Jesus, and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered him, "Are you speaking this for yourself about this, or did others tell you this concerning me?" This is like Jesus doing evangelism. He's getting to the heart. He's asking questions. He's inquiring. Why are you asking this question? Is it for you? Do you believe that? Or is it just you reciting what other people have said? So often the people we talk to and engage with about the gospel, you got to ask them questions about heaven, hell, God, eternity, salvation, Jesus Christ. And this is a real valid question we should ask anyone when we talk to them, is simply, are you asking me for yourself? Did you come to this conclusion, or is this just what people have told you? How to do church, how to pray, what God will and won't do, how he answers prayers. How does one get to heaven? Who's going to go to heaven? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Is there a heaven and not a hell? I mean, are you asking me this? Or is this just what you've heard people say? So Jesus is trying to get to the heart of this guy. And so in verse 35, Pilate answers, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you to me. What have you done?" And so Pilate's kind of playing it, whatever. They look down on the Jews quite a bit. And just, well, am I a Jew? But what have you done to make these people so mad at you? And so this is a one-on-one conversation. This is not in a big, with all the Jews present. He's just asking straightforward, Jesus, what on earth did you do to make everyone so mad at you? And even today, holy moly, have you ever seen how mad people get at religion? They get mad at Jesus, the people who are atheists and anti-God. I mean, you have to think, to call yourself an atheist, you're claiming that you know that there is no God. See, agnostics, I understand. They know that they don't know. They know that I just don't get it. I don't understand. But when you're like, "Oh, I'm an atheist," usually that's because people have got a chip on their shoulder. And the good question is what did Jesus do to make them so mad? And it's the idea that the light came into the world, but the darkness knew not the light. And because the light exposed the deeds of the darkness. That's the idea, is that Jesus upsets people when he exposes their darkness. He upsets people when he exposes the sin in their life. And they realize that he's the King of Kings, and he doesn't approve of their rebellion. And so people get a little upset with him. And that's the same thing that was going on here in this day. Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here." Pilate therefore said to him, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answered, "You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born, and for this cause I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, what is truth? And he went. And when he said this, he went out again to the Jews and said, I find no fault in him at all. Now, there you go. What is truth? Hey, if you get done with this video, Dallas just started Real Talk, just so you guys know. Anyway, I got my notification. What is truth? And you know, that's the problem that Pontius Pilate had, and that's the problem that many people today struggle with. What is truth? I mean, how can we know what really is true? Is there an absolute truth? Most people absolutely don't believe in absolute truths. And that's the thing that stumbled him, was he didn't really want truth. He wanted an absence of truth. Many people today, it's not that they don't believe in truths. They desire an absence of truth, because an absence of truth would create an absence of accountability. It would create an absence of responsibility. See, that's the idea. If you don't have something that's firm and unchanging to believe in, then you can believe in whatever you want. And that's what most people want. Most people want the freedom to just believe whatever they want to believe and do whatever they want to do, and not have anyone tell them what is right or wrong, and have no accountability for their actions. And so it's our job as believers to slowly uncover what is truth. And we can help people do that. We've been doing that in our class on Tuesday nights, conversational evangelism and Way of the Master, doing the two together, but talking about what is truth and uncovering what do people believe, and helping them see that what they believe might not be consistent, just in general. Just, you can't believe this and believe that. Do you see that there's a disconnect there? And so, yeah, that's what we do. I'm going to save the last little bit of the chapter for tomorrow. It'll be a fun little side talk and story, and who knows, might take up our whole time. But, yeah, what is truth? You know the answer to that, right? Does everyone know the verse? Do they remember the verse that we covered not too long ago? John chapter 17, verse 17, right? Sanctify them in truth. Your word is truth. That's what we got. That's what we're going to go on. That's what we're going to stand upon. And if God says it, that's good enough for me. So, hey, God bless you guys. I will see you guys again tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. right here on the Revival Church page. Take care, guys.